Today's video is about supporting reunification when you want to adopt. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Kate. Here on this channel we do mom life together. I'm a Christian mama and a foster parent, so we talk a lot about that. But we also talk about systems, routines, rhythms. We do cleaning videos, all sorts of fun stuff. I'm really passionate about other moms really living their purpose, living their best motherhood. Not just being reactive in our lives, but really being proactive and just actively pursuing things, doing good, living with purpose, living with intention. And that's a message that I'm really passionate about sharing. I want to see more kids in loving families. I am heartbroken about the orphan crisis that we are facing in this world in 2019. I really try to talk a lot about that and spread that message as well, because every kid belongs in a family. I'm wearing one of our new shirts from our Mama's line that recently launched in the shop. This is the Foster heart with the gold heart t-shirt. You can get these on a t-shirt, sweatshirt. There's a whole bunch of different graphics you can get put on them. Hashtag foster love, which is really just a heart, a gold heart. 100% of the proceeds of this brand goes back to foster families, kids in foster care, and supporting adoptions. Like I said earlier, I'm passionate about getting kids and families, and I want to do anything that I can to help. So if you're looking for some new t-shirts, consider shopping for a cause, shopping with purpose, and check out the shop. It's lovemotherblog.com/the-shop. So today's video is about supporting reunification when you want to adopt. I get this question often because I say very openly that we got into foster care to adopt, but I want to explain the thought process a little bit behind that. So first, let me explain why we chose the foster care system to grow our family. I in no ways want families to fail. Quite the opposite, actually, which is why I find it very easy to support reunification in most cases. But the reality is that some of the kids coming through the foster care system are going to need a forever home, an adoptive family. Yes, we want to adopt, but our main reason of adopting is not just to grow our family. It's to give a child who needs it a good home and a good life. Insert foster care. Domestic adoption didn't seem like the best option for us because often birth moms, they're loving birth moms, making that selfless, loving decision to place their child for adoption with another family because they just know that they're not able to parent at that time in their life or whatever it may be. Birth moms all have different reasons. But most of those kids, other than there's trauma, of course, when there's separation from the birth mom, but other than that, there's not really other types of trauma that happens with domestic adoption. The types of trauma you see in foster care, yes, separation from the birth family or the biological family, but there is often, substance abuse, neglect, abuse, that sort of things where so much trauma stems from, and those are the kind of kids that my husband and I really felt called to help. And there's many people that are already approved and waiting, tons of waiting families already approved in the adoption process. So it's just not where we felt like we should insert ourselves into. International adoption fills many of the same reasons why we feel like we want to adopt, why we feel called to adopt, but not necessarily in this stage of our life. We're not ruling that out, but God really was calling us to foster care adoption. Just because we want to adopt does not mean we want a family to break apart to do so. I want to see healing in these families. I want to see restoration. I want to see parenting capabilities come about. I want to see freedom from addiction and the ability to treat and control mental health issues. I want to see this for these families. I want to be able to tell these kids, you get to go back home, because in the end, that's what we all want, to be home. Now, in saying this, foster care isn't all happy endings in reunification. There's some cases where it's just pure evil. There's some cases where the obstacles are just too big to get past. And sometimes reunification is the farthest thing I want for that child, but this is not the general case for most of the kids that we've cared for. There does come a point in the child's case where reunification is just the wrong choice, not in the best interest of the child, and would cause them more trauma. There's a fine line when this switch in the case happens, but I believe everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves to have their family back. Like, that has got to be the absolute worst feeling of having your kids taken away from you. Everybody deserves forgiveness. Now, just because I support reunification, that does not mean it's easy. Yes, it can be very difficult to say goodbye to a child that's been with you for a long period of time, where you have a very strong bond and connection with. It can be extremely hard. It is extremely hard. Or when a child expresses that they want to stay living with you and you have no power, like you have to send them back to their family, that's really hard. And then there's this fear, like, will they really be safe when they go back home, or when the eyes aren't on them, are old habits going to form and things go back to the way they used to be, the reason why the kids came into care in the first place. That is a very real fear. With God, I have no fear, and God loves these children and will protect these children. I believe that if we just pray for them, but there's evil in this world, and things get overlooked and cases slip through the cracks, and we're working with a flawed system and flawed people, and yeah, there's that feeling of, are they really going to be okay if they go back home? But in saying all that, I still do 100% support reunification. And if you're a new foster parent and you're thinking it's going to be too hard, I can't do that, like I hear about the kid's case, how am I supposed to love these families? I don't believe that we're called to just care and love for these kids, but the families as a unit. I really do believe that. Sometimes these families just don't have any support, and you can be that support person for that family. You know, I try really hard to be friendly with all of our bio parents. In some cases, it's been easier than others. I try not to judge them or their actions from what I've heard on the case until I really get to know them, because I think, try to put myself in the reverse position. I think if some of the things that are said about foster parents, and if the bio parents are judging me on that, I wouldn't want to be judged in that way, because there's not all foster parents are good foster parents, and unfortunately there's a little bit of a stigma behind some foster parents, and I wouldn't want the bio family to view me in that way. So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt as well. You know, we all have our own stories and journeys to get to where we are today, and outsiders aren't privy to all that information, all those personal details. And really, like, though we share the love of their child, like our foster child, their biological child, we share the love for that child. That doesn't, like, we don't know anything about them. So I encourage you to be friendly, get to know them. You'll often find they aren't as bad as you might have first thought. You know, small gestures can really improve and bond a relationship. Send them pictures of their kids. Let them know, like, write a weekly journal of what their child did that week. Remember them. Talk about them a lot. Ask them for their child's likes and dislikes or bedtimes or things like that. Sometimes they don't have that information for you. They don't necessarily parent with routines and structure. That's very often the case with kids in care, but just being thoughtful to ask them those questions can go a long way. You know, make sure they know about doctor's appointments. In most cases, bio parents do have the right to be at doctor's appointments. Not all, but most cases I believe they do in most states and provinces. So make sure that they know about doctor's appointments, that they have, you know, the right to be there. I have picked up bio parents to take them to the doctor's appointments so that they can get extra time with their child. Of course, you have to okay all of this with the social worker, and it varies case by case. Not all the time will this be able to happen. But doing things like that goes a long way in building the relationship between you guys, which is the best thing for the child. You know, if the fear of saying goodbye to a child is often what deters you from foster care or scares you the most about foster care, know that when you build a relationship with the bio family, that often when you say goodbye, you're not actually saying goodbye. You're saying see you later, and you're able to continue a relationship and still have that child in your life. We still get to see a couple of our foster loves and have great relationships with their bio families, and that's been really healing for me, for my bio kids, and for them as well. I believe the more adults that love a child, the better. Like, the more support that a child can have that's gone through trauma, the better. Sometimes the bio family isn't receptive to this kind of relationship, or maybe you don't have the opportunity to even form this kind of relationship, but there are other ways you can still support that bond. Never speak poorly about the bio parents to the child, no matter what they've done or what they've been accused of. Never speak poorly about them. That isn't going to get you anywhere with the child. That's not going to get you anywhere with the bio family. You know, let the child know that it's okay to love them and miss them and want to be with them. It's okay. Foster children often feel very conflicted about that, because on one hand, it's home and it's their parents and it's all they know and what they love. But on the other hand, they're feeling stability and security and love like they've never felt. So it's very easy for children to feel conflicted about wanting to stay with you or wanting to be with them. And sometimes they'll lean one way or the other, or sometimes they just don't know what they want to do, and it will cause a lot of emotions. So let them know it's okay to miss them, it's okay to love them, and it's okay to love, you know, you as the foster family too. I encourage you to help the child rebuild the trust that's often been shattered when a child is removed from their parents' care. The trust is often shattered. It's hard for the child, especially depending on their age, it's hard for the child to trust their parents again, especially if they've been let down over and over by them. But just try, don't give any false hope, but do try to help rebuild that trust between them. I encourage you to be all in for foster care, not just for the children, but for the families as well. It really breaks my heart when I'm not able to have, I don't want to get emotional, when I'm not able to have a relationship with our foster child's parent, because I just want to tell them like how well they're doing and how amazing they are and how beautiful they are and how wonderful they are. And it just breaks my heart when I'm not able to have that kind of relationship. No matter what the situation is, a bio parent is always going to have some sort of love for their child. They're at the back of their mind or deep down, they're going to be thinking about them. Maybe not every day, but they will come to the mind on their birthdays or whatever it may be. But they're thinking about them. They want to know how they're doing and, you know, what they look like and what they're like, you know, who they're becoming. So the more things you can do to encourage that relationship, the better, not just for your relationship with the bio family, but for the child. You know, the more holes you can fill in for them, the better it's going to be as they grow and they start to ask questions. So I just encourage you to be all in, support reunification. It's not always going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be really hard, but it's the right thing to do and it's the best thing for the child. And if you want to be a good foster parent, you have to be able to support reunification. I hope you found this video helpful. If you know somebody that this might be helpful, share this video. I encourage you to. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it that you're invested in taking the time to learn more about foster care. Like this video, it really helps my channel to grow and reach more people and spread the message that I'm trying to spread. Subscribe if you are new. I would love to have you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
I lose my